Welcome to the Love Well by Doing Good podcast. And today I have my friend from across the world and business associate and gosh, you feel like family, Kenjie. Kenjie Kirimi is here with us today, and his mission is to help people discover and connect with their inner genius. I love that. So maybe my inner genius will come on board today, our inner genius. And so that people can feel fully alive. And Kenjie brings his passion to life through Bawa Connect, a growth marketing agency that helps businesses grow their customer pipeline by building smarter marketing systems. And Kenjie's also a podcast host. He's the co-host of the Container podcast, where he engages in honest conversations around godly masculinity, all things manhood, faith, identity, and purposeful living. And I understand you have a lot of women who listen to your podcast.
Absolutely. They're trying to figure out the manosphere.
Yes, I like it. You're like the inside scoop, so we can figure out our guys,
Yep,
so
yep.
better relationships. So thanks for being here.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, Sandy. It actually feels like family, like just having a conversation, not just with my coach, because I need to put that and drop that plug, but just someone who understands my journey, and just to see what this would come out, what will come out of this.
For those of you listening, gosh, Kenjie, has it been a couple of years now?
Yeah,
Maybe,
it's been maybe two.
right? Maybe 2 years. And Kenjie and I met originally through the work that we do, Kenjie with men and myself with women. And Kenjie's wife works with women in Kenya in something called the Crucible Project, which is a fabulous transformational weekend experience that also turns into a lifetime journey experience of transformation as we get to know ourselves, God, and one another. And we get to step into those areas of our lives where we have brokenness and pain so that we can move through that to become the people that God has created us to be, both in our personal lives as well as in our work. And so that's how we first met. And we are also involved in the Crankset Group's 3 to 5 Club, which is a club that helps small business owners get off the treadmill so that we can have more time for the things that matter most in our lives, like our family and God and friends and, the work that we're created to do, our purpose. So we get to exchange a lot of things. I also will put a plug in for Bawa Connect because Kenjie's company produces this podcast, and Joe, who's behind the scenes, we should get him on here one of these times. Interview
Yeah.
Joe. um,
That would
he's
be fun.
yeah, he's our producer and editor. And so, for those of you listening, if you're looking for somebody that's understands, what business owners need in terms of marketing or organizations need in terms of marketing. Maybe you're interested in a podcast. Maybe you're interested in just being more effective in what you do. Then we're going to put all that information in the notes so people can contact you, Kenjie. So we get to help one another today. So I'm going to start out all the way back. And I want you to tell us just about where you live, where you've grown up. I'd like to know a little bit about, just the culture you grew up in, the things that you
Yeah.
experienced. I want to start way back, as far back as you want to go, like just maybe as a child. Tell me about your life because we haven't talked a lot about that. So I'm curious myself.
Yeah, wow. I didn't expect that question, Sandy.
Oh, you did it.
So let me maybe start digging through the archives. So I was born in Nairobi, Kenya, and that's where I still live. Many years back. I'm 37 years of age, so you can count back when that was. I I'm I'm the last born of three brothers. So I've grown up in an all boys household. Uh, just I my mom, honestly, I think we robbed her of her girlhood because growing up raising boys, she's seen a lot. Yeah, so and we were just the typical, let me say, three musketeers because we are very close in age. We are all like 2 years apart each, from my eldest brother to myself. And they would let me say, you would categorize me as a typical Nairobi boy.
What
Uh,
is that? Tell us what that
yeah.
is.
So what
I
does
don't
that
know what
mean?
that
So
means.
it's an intersection between a metropolitan man and also a street hustler.
Oh, yeah, I would
Because
have known
it's
that. So glad
yeah,
you
so
gave me the
it's more
definition.
like it's like Nairobi is like almost the it's almost like the New York of your country.
Mm.
It's very fast paced, and then it has both sides of the world. It has the ultra rich. It also has the other side, extremely poor, those that even live in the slum, and sometimes, and growing up in a middle income or middle class family, I got to experience both sides of that divide. And so it almost has shaped the man I've become, because I also know how to grind, uh like street grind, and I also know how to grind online, sophisticated corporate style. So it's given me like a balance of both worlds, let me put it that way. So that's why I'm saying the stereotypical Nairobi boy. So for the Africans who are listening, I'm sure I bet they understand. And also, what's interesting is, I've been trained in finance. Like, I went to school learning finance. I was a banker for 2 years, but I didn't pursue that career. I mean, it was just not my fit, because my both my parents are bankers, and so I thought I would fit into that mold. But yeah, life threw me a different curveball. So I went into the creative arts side, and way back in, is it high school, is when I started my stint in art. So that's when I started to notice I have a little of creativity. I was in just the art scene, drama, painting. I ran a gallery at some point in my life. Yeah, so I knew quickly, I'm not cut out for the let me say, call it the straight and square careers. Yeah, so that's how far back I can take you. If you want to take, or how far back do you want me to go?
Whatever you want to do. I want to know, like, as a boy, were you drawn to creativity? Were you into sports and creativity? Like, what kinds of things as a child were you interested in?
Yeah, I was interested in many things. In fact, I'd say I was most of my teachers called me a well-rounded student, because academically I was good. Also in sports, I like to play rugby. I was also a swimmer. I was also into the arts. But it seems like that blessing later in life almost became somewhat like a crutch, because I was unable to decide on a path. At some point I was just like, Lord, just show me a path, give me one path that I can stick to and be a master, because I was all over the place trying to tinker and figure out what I'm good at. So yes, I'd say I was good. I was not the best at anything. I was just more like above average at many things. Yeah.
Well, I think that's awesome, actually, because I think that being able to explore a lot of things when we're younger, we have that freedom when we're younger that sometimes we don't have when we're older. Like, I feel like I had that when I was younger, and now that I'm this age, I get that again. Like, I'm exploring all these things again because I'm giving myself permission to be able to do that. I think there's a real value in that, because how do you know what you're interested in unless you try things?
Absolutely.
So I think it's great that you had the opportunity, and sounds like maybe even the encouragement or permission, from family or people close to you to be able to do that, versus saying you're going to be a banker and that's all you're going to be. And, you felt forced to be able to do that. So, and I want to tell you why I like to ask the question about when you're younger, is because I think that a lot of our identity and passion shows up when we're really young.
Mm.
And then sometimes we kind of get lost along the way in that. Like, because we think we're supposed to be a certain way or do a certain thing, or, the world kind of starts to, I guess, influence and mold us, not always in the way that expresses who we really are till we kind of get through some of life and we get back to that. Some people never do, some people do. Thank goodness for the work we get to do because we get to help people do that. And so I always think it's really interesting to listen to people talk about their childhood, especially as a coach, to be able to look at those things that you loved doing that maybe are still kind of smoldering, that we
Right.
could pull out, that would add, maybe it's not a financial piece in your life, but it adds joy and richness
Mhm. Mhm.
and relationship. Because I do believe that everything we do, everything we're interested in, whether it's people, whether it's a sport, whether it's a job, it's all just a vehicle to be in the lives of one another. I think that's how God designed stuff, is like, oh, let's have you play rugby so you get to know these people, or let's have you do this
Absolutely.
job so you get in the lives of these people. That's just my personal philosophy. I guess I don't really have like some kind of science to back it up, but I just have seen that a lot.
No, I like what you say, and especially keyword vehicle, because I feel like we are a conduit to many things. Um, there's just based on our coaching. I remember Sandy once told me that we are many things. We're just not one trick pony. Like you can explore different parts of yourself, and I love the fact that you also gave me the permission to explore other parts of me, because sometimes I don't see myself as this digital expert, and I still have a passion for men's work. And you're like, look, Kenji, you only have one life. And I loved that advice. And you told me that, in this world, one life, it's the vehicle that you use to explore all these gifts that you have within yourself. And so for me, that was big, because I stopped feeling guilty for not, you know, uh, like packing one thing and saying, okay, I've been called to do this one, just this thing. And I've started to see, oh, okay, there are many aspects I can use my gift to rally my mission, to be this person, as I said, to help people connect and discover their inner genius. And what lights me up is when I see them come alive. When they discover something in themselves, I see them come alive. That for me, and I can take it back to when I was like young. I had some level of influence within even my friend groups. So I was the person who would put together the parties, call, call the girls. I
Not
was like, come, let's
surprised.
let's
Not
hang out.
surprised.
I was the man with the plan. And so that's the thing. That was a gift. Back then, I didn't know it was a gift. I was just like, okay, you know what? They're relying on me to to make this happen. To create an experience that they'll get to enjoy. Little did I know that's the same gift that will carry me along into my life's mission, into what I do today. Even with businesses, I love to see efficiency. I love when I see they're connecting to what their true core business is. And also with the men's work, and just getting men with the container podcast to to see themselves for who truly they are, and spread that love to the world. Yeah.
I want to talk more about that. When you were young, what bothered you? Like what things did you see in the world that you didn't like, or that bothered you, or that you cared about? I mean, I find it interesting to ask that question too, to find out what kind of things people care, kids cared about when they were younger. Like this thing you're
Mm,
talking about, right? You love
yeah.
to see people come alive. Were there any specific examples when you were younger where you didn't see that happen, or where you longed to see that happen in yourself or others?
Yes. In fact, it all stems from a father wounding. I didn't expect to find my life's purpose from my own wounding.
Mm.
And what's interesting is, when I look at the things that I'm highly passionate about, and I look back and I'm like, where did that come from? It's it just stems from a place where I didn't want to be that person, a father who, and maybe let me put it this way: the my dad did the best, right? With the tools that he had, the knowledge he had,
Mhm.
he did his best. However, coming up as a young man, I realized that I was not well mentored because of the way the life choices I was making. I quickly realized that we fathered ourselves as peers. And there's a lot of ignorance that goes around young boys. And that's kind of the direction that I took based on, what other boys would think about me. Because my deepest need was, to be accepted and to be affirmed by the people that I love. And so I didn't get that much from my dad. And that for me created an inner wounding that propelled me to see different in other men. Because I was like, if this person has an opportunity to be affirmed, to be blessed, and to be given, to be seen, and to be heard, and to be given a space, then chances he'll make more uh, positive and great decisions and choices for his life. And so that is literally, if you ask me, what is the thing that propelled you to do the work that I do today? It actually stemmed out from my wounding. Yeah,
Do you feel like that was, like always a part of you? Like when I think about that for me, I think that's true for everybody. But I like to think about like what are the themes over your whole life when I coach people or talk to people. Typically, if we go through like a whole timeline of your life and what you're interested in and your family and your experiences and your jobs, there's kind of a theme that emerges. And I know for me, it's that I always wanted to help people. I mean, my mom named me Sandra, which means helper of mankind, like I
oh
don't even
wow.
realized like that's was a perfect name. Like for a long time, I wanted to change my name. Now I'm really glad she named me that. But I look at that and I'm the oldest of six, so that was probably in there too, right? That I always wanted to take care of people. I wanted to care for people, help people. I remember taking those assessments in school that says, what are you going to be? It was always like
Mhm.
counselor, pastor, therapist. Of course, I didn't want to do any of that at the time. I just thought that was totally boring. So I went into theater and music to entertain people, I guess. But,
Yeah,
now that's what I do and I love it. But do you look back at your life and see kind of this theme, like not only the woundedness or brokenness, but also the kind of the gift that came out of that for you and how that's thread through your life?
absolutely. Yeah. So two things come up very quickly. One is my love for people. Um, People would say, if you ask my friends, the people who know me, they'll say Kenji's a people's person, and I think it's a gift. It's just naturally in me. It's not like I wake up and say today I'm going to love people. No, I just feel very drawn to supporting and loving people. And I've seen that since I was young. As I was saying, like part of the things, even the things that we didn't do right, it was part of me helping people. Yeah. And I've seen myself the other part of me is always creating solutions for people. And that's why even at Bawa, our core solution, it's a solution that helps streamline your marketing efficiency. It's a solution. So I've always seen myself loving people and creating solutions for people. And that also it's also a great recipe for an entrepreneur, because entrepreneurs have to understand what, let me say, what plagues people and create solutions for them. And that's how people pay you. They pay you for the value that you offer to solve their problems,
Mhm.
you know. So yes, that is a natural gift that I have. And and through my career, I'm also now inclined into leading, not necessarily being the operator, but being more of the vision bearer, the one who inspires people to do more, to rally people into a common cause. I feel that's where my true gifting is. And of course, because I as I said, I create solutions. I also have this gift of uh, it's almost like I'm able to see the future. I'm very visionary. Like I remember telling my wife when we were getting married that, one day, babe, we're gonna be digital nomads. She's like, so what does that even mean? And I'm like, I'm not too sure. I can't tell you, I can't spell it out, but I know we will be unhinged and untethered from places. And that's how we got into homeschooling. We moved away from the city. We live a very unconventional life. So yeah, that's just some of the gifts that I've seen in myself
Was
coming
your
from.
mom, you talked a little bit about your dad, was your mom more of an encourager of that in you? Was she more like that, like a people person and encouraged that in you guys, you brothers?
Absolutely. Actually, that's just who she is. She's just the most positive human I've ever seen. And I'm not even my wife says, like, sometimes when I see her low, she calls my mom.
Mm,
She
mm,
just calls my mom just to have a quick chat. And I see she brightens up after the phone call. And I'm like, wow, she
mm.
is. So I guess maybe that could have been passed down onto me, maybe through assimilation or maybe just genetically. I think we have something in common there.
Mhm. Well,
Yeah.
just all the influence, like, all the influence, we often say, we become like the five people we hang around the most, or we become like the people that we hang around the most. And I see that all the time.
Yeah.
I think it's especially important. I have three grandkids, kind of the ages of your kids, similar to
Mhm.
the three brothers. So I get it. Like, I live that th- watching three
Right.
little boys, I had all girls, and feel really protective of that, as their Gigi, to say who are they hanging out with and what are they listening to and what are they watching, and wanting to give them a good experience. We live on a small ranch, so it's very different than living in a city and having them come out here, and their parents are wonderful people, and they're hardworking and very clean, and I come out and I let them get dirty, like I'm like, let's get in the mud, and they, I'm like, no, mud is important. I bought my old
Absolutely.
man son a shirt that says there will be mud, just to kind of drive his parents crazy. But I'd always give them a shower when they went home. But, just that whole experience of um, letting them, encouraging them, like, again, to explore, and encouraging their mindset for how to think, right? How to take your thoughts captive, how to renew your mind, how to choose your perspective. So maybe we ought to interview your mom on the podcast sometime.
We
She
should.
sounds like a pretty cool person. And of course, Kenjie's wife is beautiful and amazing. She's another person I almost said, why don't you invite her on? But we'll do another one and have her on too, because she's an incredible woman. You're very fortunate, man, that you have
Yeah.
somebody that's, as committed to their own personal work, and a leader, and, someone incredibly gifted too. So so you're growing up and you're interested, and then you said you were interested in finance. So, like, out of, what do you call it, high school, or do you call it university, out of that level of school?
Yeah.
Did you go like right into like finance, or?
Yeah. So right after high school, straight out of high school, I went to university, to pursue a bachelor's in commerce. And my main focus, or rather my concentration, was in finance. And That is and I love the fact that I did it, because I also understand finance um, from a very holistic place. Though I didn't pursue it as a career, because I went into banking for 2 years, but I just found that I was struggling from day one. I don't know, maybe it was my induction into it, but I don't really think I would have thrived in that environment, because I just felt I'm more of a creative. I love to create. And creating for me is not just necessarily art. I conceptualize solutions. And that's why for me, the digital space is such a great space for me, because it's ever changing. I love to innovate. So for me, the creation is in the innovation. It's how do I take this problem, figure out how to use this tool to actually deliver value for my client. Yeah, so I felt that uh, banking was very highly routine, especially in this in this world. But I also think just globally, it is. I know things are changing, or rather, they've shifted into more creative banking. But I found that that career was a bit uh, straight for my liking. Yeah. So
There's a
yeah,
lot it seems like there's a lot of similarity or pattern. I mean, just because I know you and I know how you think, um, that that particular career in finance and the way you think about that, I can see how you could end up in the digital space though, because that part of your brain with banking, also there's an aspect of that digital piece. Like you'll do stuff, and I'm like, I could never think of creating the solution that way. I just
yeah,
see in pictures, and you, you know, you're able to put those puzzle pieces together in a similar way, yet there is that really creative piece, you know, that creative solution piece. But there is a consistency, frequency, you know, certainly that the routine of banking, the routine of marketing, you know, doing something consistently in a way where you're able to get the results that you're looking for, there's some similarity there. So I can see how you, I can see how you could do both. I'm
yeah,
glad that you ended up in the digital space. How did you end up there? Like, how did you go from banking to like, I'm going to get in this digital space?
yeah, yeah. You said something. This the way my brain works. In fact, I love the science bit of marketing. So it's an art and a science. The art part is very necessary. The psychological bit of understanding your ideal customer profile and how they make decisions, how they move down the funnel. That's important. But more importantly, it's important to have a system, and that's why we're more in performance marketing than creative marketing. So what distinguishes us as an agency is being performance driven. You have to think about what we call the funnel. The funnel is a science. Literally, it is at the top, just the way an inverted funnel looks. you know at the top you have so many people, but you have to figure out how do they go down the funnel all the way until they become a
Mhm,
customer.
mhm,
There's a science behind that. I love the science of that. It's sometimes mathematical, because you have to run ads with a particular metric in mind. You have to look how that converts your lead to conversion ratio. You have to optimize that all the way until you get that customer booking, and you can put an amount to it. And
mhm,
so, as a business owner, it only makes sense that if I put in X amount of dollars on one side, I get X amount of return on this other side. So
mhm,
it makes sense. Sometimes, if the science, I mean the art bit of it is fun. We love to see engaging campaigns. When Coke runs a campaign about happiness, we love the
mhm,
feeling. We
mhm.
love the feeling, but sometimes the feeling itself does not convert. you know yeah, so you
And
have to
and you guys are good
blend
at
it with
because
the science bit, right? Yeah.
you're good at both. I mean, Kenji's company did my website. So you can go to sandycorrigan.com and see it. And we spent a lot of time talking about like what is the feel and what are the colors and what are the photos we want to use and what do we want it to say? Because, you did spend time with me, getting to know me, and some of that was hard, like keep going at it, Sandy, keep trying, but it was good to be, because what you were doing was helping to express me and my uniqueness and what I care about and what I want to create and the solution I want to provide, for people, which is I want to help business owners position everything they do to love well by doing good, which happens to be extremely profitable for business. It's extremely productive. And I just wish more business owners would get that, because if they focused on that, they would also a lot of times have more joy and satisfaction. They would worry less and they
Yes.
would get more money. So, I mean, that's my drum I'm beating in the world. I need the t-shirts and the mugs, and I don't have that yet, but that is, what I care about is in everything, like not just in business, but how can we get up every day and ask that question and look at our day and all the elements of the day, and have that be our grid, that have that be the filter we look through. If I'm
Mm,
talking to my husband, how do I love well? How do I love him well? What do I do that's good to help him feel that I'm loving him well? Or my animals, the people that I'm going to see this afternoon at a women's
mm,
group that
mm,
I'm part of. It's the grid I want to think through, right? And you and I talk about that a lot. I mean, you are naturally wired that way, so you're easy to coach and work with that way. Some business owners just, their heads just kind of tilt, like, if I focus on that, like, how am I going to make money? And they don't understand that if they will trust that part of them that cares deeply and they'll position themselves that way, how the other comes in a pretty significant way. And then there's more satisfaction and value and retention and everything for everybody that works with them. So I love that you get that already, and that you're already in many ways doing that with clients that you have, right? Like you care about them, you care about their results just beyond the fact that you're going to help them make money. You care about them as people. And
correct.
with your mom and your background and all of that.